In case anybody needs a reminder why the majority of the citizens of Lawton, Oklahoma does not respect Mayor Stan Booker, aka Genocide Stan, here's a little video footage from KSWO's website on exactly why.
Get the firemen paid a competitive wage, and that's the goal.
But not at the citizen safety. Not at the citizen safety. We
Okay,
don't want
hold
that. Nobody out here wants that.
Cease and desist.
Nobody wants a better way.
Cease and desist.
And from the source that I've just received, this definitely happened yesterday at the Lawton City Council meeting that was held February the 11th of 2025. And from the outside looking in, I assume that this particular agenda that was being talked about was the pay raise of our men and women fighting for our lives to serve our community in the fire department. That outburst you just saw right there, no doubt, is not a leader. That's a tyrant that wants to be a dictator.
Welcome back to Humble Not Timid. We appreciate y'all joining us today. So today, this is going to be another one of my close to the chest episodes. Okay, I haven't done one of these since the beginning of when I started the podcast. So I felt it was time to do another one. And I found a gentleman from my hometown, Lawton, Oklahoma, who I found kind of interesting. Came across my Facebook feed. And from that point on, I kind of started watching on him, see what he's about. So,
getting mad at me, play it, he's taking my place, and I'm a misbreed, homie, so they hate my race. Or maybe I'm just ugly, so they hate my face. Either way it go, homie, take the hating away. Now I'm suited in my armor, and I'm just ready to play. So now put me in coach, cause I'm just ready to get. See, I told y'all I ain't going nowhere. I told y'all I'm right here, right here. I told
So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead. We're going to introduce him, and we're going to go ahead and get into the conversation today. And we'd like to welcome today Mr. Dark Independent.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. How's your day going?
Good. Yours?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. So, first, I'd like to ask you, just give me a little bit about your, a little bit of your background. Where you from? How many family members you got, things like that. Like, give the people a little basis of who you are.
Like, basically, I was raised here, most of, my, life, and, been to the penitentiary for almost, 10 years, been out since 2018, just trying to get everything from the muddy, rebuild my life, back up, and building 2 small businesses up from the ground up, and things like that, and in the process, calling out and taking a stand against corruption, both locally and basically across the globe. So besides trying to, build 2 small businesses, not only to try to establish and better my self, and hopefully be able to be in a position to better and establish my community and the world.
What
I have a goal of taking a stand against corruption. Say again?
What are the name of your businesses? You don't mind me asking?
My main is D's Custom Tees. And my secondary is DJ's Lawn Accommodations.
Okay. Yeah, I believe the D Customs is what it was that brought my attention to you. I was scrolling through my feed.
Yeah, that's why I advertised my D's Custom D's business and merchandise from. Yep.
Yeah. So you have family in the area as well, I assume?
Yes, I have some immediate family.
Okay. And do they support your business, support when your movement, like what it is that you're doing right now?
Business wise, yes. Politics, not so much.
Yeah, it gets like that sometimes, So I noticed the shirt you got on right there, and believe it or not, that's like me and you have spoken before, and I told you that's kind of what caught my attention when I was scrolling through my feed. So I guess just to kickstart this interview off, kind of like what's some of the issues you're having with the grapevine?
Well, when I was in the grapevine, like every time somebody would start something with me, we have words back and forth. I was always the one, singled out, flagged, comment deleted, etc. I've been banned from that lame ass group like twice, basically without warning and essentially for no reason. Like when they do like the support black owned businesses small business Monday or whatever, they allow those advertisements to get approved just for some of those racist white folks to come up in there with their racist projections, acting like they're all offended and stuff like that. Whenever we say something to defend ourselves, we're the ones that's being singled out and targeted and booted from the group, while basically they get to stay.
Now,
And even though I'm not in that,
let me ask you from this angle, okay? So, do you believe that it was truly a racist thing, or is it like maybe something personal they have against you?
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah. What would be some of the issues? I mean, see, I personally don't know any of the admins on that group. I have been part of that group before. And like I told you before, I got into some issues with some folks, got conversation, and it was kind of the same thing. I never took it as a racial thing. It was, I think it was more just of I'm not the cool guy. So, but you say it comes from a racial point of view. So what would make you feel like that though?
Like basically that whole group for the last 5 years is pretty much has been of appeasing and not angering the fragile white folks off in that group. That's basically what that group been revolved around the last 5 years, which is why people of color or anybody that speaks out against these fragile racist white folks is targeted, because they'll get triggered and easily offended over any little thing, and it'll seem like their side to be taken more than ours, and at the same time the admin group act like they're for marginalized communities and people of color, just to try to pander to the community, but at the same time jump the other side of the fence is to try to appease and please the racist white folk that essentially want to come off in there to run the group without actually being the admin of the group to run the group, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, I think they got a little too many admins, truth be told, if you ask me. Now, other than the grapevine, and see, so this my thing right there is with the grapevine. Like I said before, I had to leave the group. I don't think they're the gatekeepers to the whole world. So me personally, I really haven't missed a step leaving the group. So it is what it is. How y'all doing once again? I'm glad that y'all are watching, and I hope that you've been enjoying the video so far. So right now what I wanted to do is I wanted to give a shout out to everybody who's been helping me and supporting and giving good advice, giving feedback, and I really am one of them people that will take your advice, and whether I use it or not, it doesn't matter, because in the end what it does is it does help me critique my channel and critique the way that I do things. So I do appreciate y'all. Everybody has their own opinion on things. I don't knock it. It is what it is. Now, I will try to keep true to what I decided to do with the channel, but at the same time, too, though, we are here to give a platform for everybody to speak their voice and, have their opportunity to say what they want to say. But I do have a request of y'all, and what I do is ask y'all to go ahead and check out the merchandise. You can get one of these little hoodies over here. They are pretty good hoodies. They're actually, when I got the first one, I really wasn't actually, I I was kind of worried about how the material was going to come out, but it's pretty good. It's pretty, keeps you warm. It's just thick enough to keep you warm. You can wear it as a top layer in the winter, and it's not too thick, but you can wear it during the winter, summertime. You know what I'm saying? And still sport it. Humble Not Timid. I'll leave the links in the descriptions down in the channel. And I got different designs, different things like that, just so y'all can help out and help support the channel. I have other different items as well. Like, we have these little candles and stuff. They're frosted scented candles. I do like them. They come with the little wood top, whatnot. And you can see I already burnt this one down. Pretty good too. But they got the wood wicks with them. I've actually burnt this one for a while, so it actually lasted. It's almost time to get another one. But those will be on the link as well. You can hit the link, check those out. I got different items as well. I got like mouse pads, you know what I'm saying? You can check them out and, support your little mouse pad, support your Humble Not Timid merchandise, in your workplace or whatnot. And I'm going to have more. I'm going to put more on there as we keep on going. It's all a process. So, I just started this. And once again, I do thank y'all. I appreciate your support. Bear with me as I grow and I get better at this. You know what I'm saying? I thank y'all. And go ahead and once again, like, subscribe, share the channel. It does help us grow. Well, I'm not actually allowed to promote the channel right now in certain avenues for, certain reasons. But at the same time, too, though, everything that y'all do and everything y'all like and share and comment on, I appreciate y'all very much. Okay. So once again, Humble Not Timid. It's time to get back to the show. Thank you very much. That is what caught my attention on you was the shirt. But when I started looking at some of your content, I actually seeing that this goes a little way deeper than just the grapevine. Grapevine is just a little piece of the corner of what it is about you that I found interesting. Okay. So like I noticed too that you do got a thing against Trump and ICE and all that and everything that's going on right now. So with the Iran situation, just a couple of days they just had the missile strikes, right? So everybody didn't see that one coming, and I kind of feel a way about that one myself. And now, with that, why did I seen you make a video where you said Iran's not your enemy? What makes you feel that, and what evidence do you have to stand on that stance?
As we've seen of what recently started on this, the fact of the matter is Israel strike them first, and they expect Big Brother America to come hold them and bail them out. And we already have our own issues right here in our country, right here in America. Like Israel already got a bunch of our tax dollars to pay for their weaponry and their free health care and all that BS. Now with Iran, I actually don't support their regime and as a country because of their religious extremism and their lacks of women rights. So I'm right there. But I do stand with them with the fact or whatever they strike first, and they have a right to defend themselves.
Are you talking about you don't stand with Iran because of their religious extremes, or with Israel?
I don't stand with Israel. I don't stand with Iran as a country because of their religious extremisms and basically their women's not having women's rights off in that country. But I do, firmly believe you start on fight and you hit on first, be expected for them to retaliate.
The Hamas attack that they say that started this whole thing, a few years ago. Do you believe that had anything to contribute with what's been going on in the past couple of years?
Oh, the October 7th thing you're talking about? It stemmed from all the way back in 1948 when the Zionist settlers came onto the land of Palestine, and the Palestinians welcomed them onto the land to save them from the Holocaust. And what do the Palestinians get in return? Basically, a genocide, which the Zionists, we're not even going to associate them with Jews, because Zionists is hijacking the Jewish agenda to spin and fit their narrative so they can play victim. But anyway, the Zionist settlers is pretty much doing the same thing as the European descendant settlers did here in America to the native indigenous people. Come onto their land after they was welcome, sneak them, slaughtered them to, steal their land and pillage. And
okay, but let's go past all of that right there. Okay, let's go past all of that. We get closer to the more recent time, and then like right before the October 7th, it wasn't peaceful, but it wasn't straight conflict the way it is now. So, do you believe that the October 7th is what kicked this off right here? Like, since then Israel been bombing and been, and don't get me wrong, I got my own things against the Israeli, government. But at the same time too, though, I mean, October 7th wasn't just no picnic. That was a brutal attack.
October 7th was a retaliation strike from the 7+ years of abuse and oppression, with the Israeli government gathering up all the Palestinians and trapping them on that little island strip known as the Gaza Strip, build that little wall and prison around them, controlling their food, controlling their electricity, controlling their necessities, and basically have snipers and military presence around that border, where Hamas, the resistance group, really don't have a military. They really don't have a actual government. They don't have money, and they had to basically use homemade weapons to basically defend themselves from their oppressors.
Now, are you pro Hamas?
No, I'm for the people of Palestine that's caught up in the middle of this mess.
Okay, I dig that part. So, if they could come to an end by giving up Hamas, would you agree with that?
Come to an end to give up to Hamas, whatever issue.
Say Israel said, "Look, y'all give us Hamas, we'll stop bombing," and America came out and just said, "Okay, this is what we're going to enforce." Would you agree with that?
Honestly, anything to stop the slaughtering of innocent women, children, and men, like the Hamas people that's gathered to fight against their oppressor. That stuff should have been between them and the tyrannical Israeli, government. Not it's Israel indiscriminately bombing civilian infrastructure and things like that. So if it came down to it being giving them Hamas and just leaving it between them and Hamas, I would agree to something like that.
How do you feel about them, putting their bunkers and all that underneath the people? They say they got they're hiding their bunkers under the schools, under the hospitals, and so they're it's like they're hiding behind the people. You don't feel a way about that when Hamas makes moves like that?
From what I was understanding, that information was debunked. But what I can tell you for a fact that Israel is the one hiding.
Yeah.
I can tell you for a fact that Israel is the one hiding behind their people, because they're the ones that have their military infrastructure right there in a highly populated civilian infrastructure, where they attacked Iran first, and Iran was defending themselves in a retaliation. Like, look at the numbers between civilian just casualties all together with Iran's retaliation strikes. A few hundred people's been injured and only 20 deceased. With Israel calling themselves defending themselves, it's you can around the death toll up about over 100,000, and most of them civilian casualties.
Yeah, give or take, give or take. But now, I mean, war is war. So as far as that part goes, I can understand. I really, honestly, I think that they're just gonna keep on going at it. I don't think it's never gonna end. I think when it finally does end, man, it's gonna end with somebody just being wiped out, one side or the other. Me personally, like I said, I got my own.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I mean that Israel and Hamas is okay. So if you ask me from my point of view personally, I think it's more of a spiritual war than it is anything else like politics and that. This is a you know Jewish and Muslim thing that's been going on for years and years and years, many years. I don't think it's going to ever just go away with anything simple. But let's zoom back. Let's zoom in a little bit though on some local politics. So I noticed that you had a thing against Stan Booker, the mayor of Lawton. So, like, how did this start, and what started this conflict that you have with him?
Shoot, the dude's a money hungry tyrant that doesn't think about a damn thing or anyone but him, self. And what I've seen him and the rest of the tyrannical local regime has been doing, it's just been targeting and picking with a good friend of mine, Bettina Davis from the Lawton whistleblowers, for calling them out on their corruption. And the first opportunity they had or whatever is, they tried to slap false slander charges and a whole bunch of other BS on her or whatever. She recently got found not guilty, beat them at their own game. And what really sparked a fire even further is when he decided to install the cobalt refinery Westwind in this town, right after being warned about the potential dangers, this, that, and the other on there, and how it's on bad roads where it wouldn't be safe for transporting compound material, and but plus the natural gases from the nickel carbonate or call themselves processing could get off into their water supply. And he's just disregarding the citizens concerns, safety, and being.
Did they have people actually step up and try to vote against it when it all started to go into play? Yeah. And let me guess, I'm guessing that they didn't even take never mind to anything anybody had to say about it
at all.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about Lawton. Like, I love Lawton and I hate it at the same time. It's my hometown, and at the same time too. But they do you believe Lawton needs growth?
Oh, it absolutely does need some growth and some fixing up in the whole 9 yards.
I mean, not just fixing up. I mean, we can go and we can change roads and all that and everything. But I mean, I feel like Lawton needs growth. I mean, so the nickel refinery. I understand you have your concerns about it. You said due to health implications, correct? So with that, other than that, is there ways that they can make it a safer environment? I mean, I'm pretty sure they offer jobs. I mean, you look at Goodyear, they employ thousands of people. So I'm pretty sure this place has thousands of people that can get jobs in the area. Is that not a good thing or a bad thing?
I can understand it from a business standpoint, but when you're willing to, gamble with the people's safety and stuff like that, and it goes a little bit deeper than that. But we'll get into that in a minute, because when you're dealing with nickel carbonate and cobalt, that's actually more dangerous and more hazardous than the Goodyear plant and the Boreas plant. That nickel carbonate and that cobalt ain't no joke. So therefore there ain't no working in the middle with these folks when it comes to that. And they need to get that shit the fuck up out of here, because
they put it where I believe you said it was on 112 is what I.
Yeah, so right there off of 112th at Bishop Road, which is not only still too close to the civilian population, is too close to the wild stock and farm lands, and it's literally basically 10 minutes from the wildlife refuge where endangered species live at. And it's in the area when it rains really hard, it'll flood really bad, and the gases from the nickel carbonate that they process go straight into that rainwater, and that rainwater go right into that drainage system, and that contaminated rainwater go through that drainage system, go to a water processing plant, which is already
And do they
outdated
not have they
machinery
don't have
that's
anything
not
in
working and
place
stuff.
to take care of those type of situations? They have no precautions for that at all.
No precautions at all.
Okay, okay. Well, I see. That's good news to know too. I'm pretty sure. It's like every other company. They're going to come out. They're going to and they'll end up making them have to find a way to make the set up precautions for those type of things. Now, I also seen at one point that you had posted a video where you were talking about Trump signing an executive order in order to get those refineries built on military bases. So would it actually be a bad thing for them to take that from 112 and move it over to a military base? That way they get it away from the civilian population. They have it on military
We
protected
don't we
land.
don't we don't want it on our military bases or anywhere in our town, because if you put it in a military base, it's just moving it closer to the wildlife refuge.
Yeah, I can see that part. I can see that part. But at the same time, too, though, it would be in a protected area. I know there's a lot of land out there on that military base. I used to work out there on the city, so I mean, there's plenty of land. I really don't know too much about the nickel process, so I wouldn't know exactly like how much space you actually need to make this a safe working environment.
Lawton or our military base is definitely not the place for it. I can tell you that.
Well, what type of area would you think would be a decent place for something like this to be?
My wild assumption would be like out in the middle of nowhere, desert like area, like per se per zona where they have desert lands or something like that's not actually near wildlife refuges and stuff like that. It
You talking
would
about like
most
some
likely be
Area
further away from
51,
the civilian
right?
population.
You talking about like some Area 51 site. But okay, so do you agree with the fact that as a country we do need these type of processes, that way we can actually be more in control of having our own supply of materials and things like that? I mean, we've allowed so many things to go overseas that right now our country really is in a weak state. That's the reason why they're trying to bring everything back. Do you not agree with that?
Obviously, we need stuff like this for like our everyday appliances and living and stuff like that, but properly and safely in a way where they're not putting profit over people. Like map it out, think it through, because refineries like Westwind affects more than just Latin. It disregards native indigenous sovereignty, that doesn't want it on their sacred lands and their sacred burial grounds. And in the Democratic Republic of Congo, you have Congolese people, especially men, women, pregnant women, and children going off into these dangerous mines, mining these resources that are used to make nickel carbonol, and these peoples literally being worked to death, dying because the materials is just so strong and safe and compounded. And also when it comes to Congolese children, if they don't get their quota filled for the day, they get one of their limbs cut off.
Oh, now see, that's kind of diabolical right there. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, that's diabolical. Now, okay, so if that's how the Congo runs their work sites, but that doesn't have nothing to do with America, though. I mean, it is twisted that yeah, we get some materials from them, but at the same time, too, though. So look, everybody right now was mad because Trump put the tariffs on China, but I mean, nobody says nothing about the way China treats their people. I mean, at the same time, too, though, they're almost like working in sweatshops and stuff over there in some places. So is that not the same type of situation? And if that is the case, then why is it that we're not mad? Why are we not mad at the Congo for chopping them limbs off, but yet we're mad at America for taking advantage of gaining the materials we need so we can strengthen our country?
Yeah, I agree to that at a point, but everybody needs to, like you said, share equal blame and accountability for the role that they're, playing in basically this genocidal mess.
I mean, I dig it. I understand from the perspective of, you want the innocent folks to be safe. And don't get me wrong, I get it, man. A lot of innocent people get taken out and hurt and damaged along the way of a lot of these things that we call progress. But at the same time, too, though, I personally, I don't know if you've watched the show before, but I stand in the, position that, what, I do say America first, because I believe we need to be in a position to assert our authority in certain areas over the world. Because if we don't, the rest of the, okay, if we don't assert our authority to a point, then the Congo type of living can end up over here. And I mean, you don't want, I don't want my kid working nowhere to where he can get his arm chopped off for not meeting the quota. You know what I'm saying? So the thing about it is, though,
I don't want that here or in any part of the world.
Yeah, I understand, but what can we do to stop the Congo from that? See, that's not America going over there and telling them people to work like that. That's their own people pushing them into slavery, making them have to break their back so they can provide that for that way they can get rich off of us buying their materials.
I understand that, in America has their hands in that too.
Well, okay, so let's say you got the metal I need for my cars. I need to buy your metal no matter what, because I need to produce for my cars. I need my vehicles to go. I need all my stuff put together, and you treat your people like they nothing. I don't have authority over you, though. So how can I stop that, or how can I fix that situation? Nonetheless, I still need my metal. So whether I buy it from you or I go over to, another part of Africa or China or somewhere else to get it, either way, I'm going to get my metal. How do you fix that situation from the outside looking in?
Where you put it, that's kind of a doozy right there.
You know what I'm saying, though? Because I've watched a lot of your videos, and I understand a lot of the points that people be speaking. Yeah, I really do. And so I have my point of views and my ways that I look at things. And I know a lot of people don't agree with me, and I get it. And I understand it, and it is what it is. But at the same time, too, though, that's why I invited you on the show, because I do appreciate other people's point of view, and I do want to hear. But I want it to make sense. And then on top of that, rather than us just fight, who has some kind of resolve? What can we do to actually fix this situation? Nobody's saying, everybody can yell at each other, but nobody's trying to give anything to make anything better, though. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
In these situations, what can we do to make it better? Right now in Lawton, Oklahoma, you have the company that is creating the nickel, which honestly, I think that's a good thing for Lawton from the aspect of, like you said, from business, because Lawton need to grow. Law needs to grow. It needs to grow. When I've done every good job that you can do there, you name it. I worked in the city. I worked for Goodyear. You name the jobs, I've done it. You know what I'm saying? I've been there. But at the same time, too, though, the quality of living is good, but it's not at the same time. So I mean,
right.
It's a hard place to live and make decent money without breaking your back and killing yourself. So you get people, I mean, think about it. We got in Lawton, Oklahoma, we got a decent college. And then at the same time, these people get their degrees and then they have to leave, because in order to use that degree to get a decent job, you got to get out of Lawton. So why would we not introduce or welcome in companies and I guess find a way to make them safer? I can understand the aspect of trying to get them to make the environment safer. But at the same time, too, though, I wouldn't want to ban them. You know what I mean? So, and that's just me from, I don't, like I said, I don't know if you watch the show, but I like me a capitalistic ideology. You know what I mean? I believe in growth. So what would you say would be a decent way for us to actually keep the jobs so more people in Lawton can have the jobs? We keep the benefits of a place like, the nickel plant, and then at the same time, too, though, make it a safer environment.
There is no meeting in the middle of West Wind, because the city of Lawton itself, because of the location it's at in the structure, is not safe and suitable for the people. Like right now, Westwood Elements is in a back and forth lawsuits with their former partner company CVMR, which is based out of Canada. Long story short, they're both pointing the
Yes.
finger at each other, saying that you ain't shit and you ain't shit. They basically both lied to get their foot in the door to get what they want. And the CEO of Westwind, Kaylee Long, has zero experience in the nickel refinery field, which is why she tried to partner with somebody like CVMR to get their foot in the door, and all the lies come out from all their corruption, and now they're wasting time going back and forth, basically trying to sue each other, and our tax dollars is basically going towards that, because a few months ago the city of Lot just awarded Westwind Elements $9 million dollars, and that money could have been
What was that award for?
I'm trying to remember it right off the top of my
In a lawsuit?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't in the lawsuit. It was just basically give Westwood Elements back them with more funding. That actually had nothing to do with the lawsuit.
Like a $9 million grant. Is that in writing?
Yeah, it's more like a grant that has nothing to do with the lawsuit.
Is that in writing?
From what I understand, they approved it in a city council meeting a few months back.
I wonder if that's official. That's a lot of money just to give to a company for no reason. But see, there's got to be something there. And don't get me wrong, I believe all government to a point has some kind of crookedness to it. I ain't gonna lie about that. I mean, I've always said, as a politician, man, you know what? One of the qualifications to be a politician, you got to be a good liar, and it's just not on the application. You know what I mean? But at the same time, too, though, I just want to know: is it come down to the point that if you was to take out Westwind, would it hurt the community, or would it actually make it better? Would it help Lawton to grow by removing it, or would it take away a lot of jobs and just reverse a bunch of growth that could happen?
Honestly, I don't think it would necessarily take away a whole bunch of jobs, because we got other places here in Lawton. But it'll say in the long run, if we take out Westwind, it'll save our water quality from being worse. And if they do try to expand and make a bigger facility, it'll save not only the wildlife refuge and the wildlife species that lives amongst it. It'll save the citizens from facing potential health hazard and things like that. And also,
do you have any evidence that's actually pointing towards, like, since Westwind has been implemented, that they have affected the water quality in the area or the air quality or anything like that? I mean, I'm not going to call you a liar or anything like that. I'm just asking, do you really have any evidence that points towards that? Or is this just like, we feel this way?
Well, they have their own videos where they talk about how to get gases from the nickel carbonyl pushes through the outside of the building, and like said earlier, when it rains really hard, it floods really bad, and those gases get off into the ground and soil, which also get off into that rainwater, and that rainwater go off to the drain, and from that drain it'll go to a water processing plant where we already had outdated equipment and already have bad watering.
So but my point is like this. Okay, so you understand that you watch the video and you watch the gas go up, and then you in your mind you say it's raining and all that. But do you have like actual quality tests? So like, okay, when I worked in the water department, man, we used to actually have to do quality tests. We had to do water tests. Okay, now of course this was back maybe about 10 years ago, give or take, whatever it was. I was there, and I worked in the water department for about 4 years. We used to have to run around, and it was part of our job to do water tests. Now, believe it or not, in Oklahoma, at the time when I was there, Lawton, believe it or not, actually had some of the highest quality water. And it wasn't just in the state, it was actually within the country, because they got a certain points that you got to hit. And we actually did have some of the best water that you could drink, and I was a water dog. You know what I'm saying? So I dug up the line, fixed the lines, ran the lines, ran the water test, all that. So this is what I'm saying. I'm not gonna call you a liar. You know what I mean? I understand what you're saying. The gases go up, it rains, it comes back down, goes into the soil, all that. But do you have the actual test? The actual test that you can show the data that what you're believing is happening is actually happening.
Well, there's a video of the city manager, John Ratliff, said right out of his own mouth or whatever, that currently the Lawton water plant doesn't have the best in quality of water.
So they went down over the years then.
Yes, significantly. And with this refinery being here, it has very high potential of actually getting worse.
Okay.
And the thing about it is, with air quality, they actually don't have an air quality monitoring system at the pilot plant.
So do they actually? Are they? So okay. So you said Ratcliffe. They're actually admitting that there might be a problem with the water quality and because of outdated equipment or whatnot. So do they have any plans on actually trying to bring in some new equipment, update systems, test, whatever it is they need to do to put Lawton back in a better situation?
A few months ago, when I went to a West Wind Resistance speak-in, don't get me quoted on the year or whatever. They said if they were to get plans implemented to pretty much replace everything in that water treatment plant, their project won't be completed until like 2050 or 2060 or 2070 something.
Yeah, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to do it. You know what I mean? I mean, it really does. And then, I mean, you remember when they went over there? Was it like right off of Sheridan over there in the north side, kind of north side, where they put in all them drainage ditches back behind Walmart in that area? Man, that project lasted almost 2 years getting that all done. That was a big project back then too. And that was millions of dollars right there. And you think about it, that's just putting in a bunch of pieces of concrete and then relining everything. We make it sound easy, but it's more than that. But, compared to actually retrofitting a whole water plant, that's a lot of money. That's a big job, So are you against them actually trying to, I know that it seems longer than what you would want it to take, but are you against them actually making those moves? Do you believe they're actually trying to make those moves move forward?
Do I believe they're making what moves specifically?
The move to fix the water plants, to try to better the area, or you think it's just a bunch of smoke?
Honestly, I don't even believe that they're even going to put up that effort, because, like you said, it takes a lot of time and a lot of money that they really don't have, and they would rather manage the money to spend the money on what they actually want to spend it on versus what they needed to spend it on. So them try to improve the water plant, update the equipment, stuff like that. I don't see that happening.
Okay. So what's your number one? Okay. Your number one thing right now against the government of Lawton and that's going on right there. Because I know that you got to thank West Wind, but other than that, what, like I heard in some of your videos, you say, corruption. What signs of the corruption are you speaking about?
Besides them doing what they want to do instead of doing what they're supposed to do for the people, which we pay their salaries. By the way, every time we go off to the Lawton City Council's office to address these types of issues, we get brushed off, ignored, shouted over, shut down, and things like that. Kind of the same way they would run the grapevine. Like a few months ago, when the firefighters went up there to try to talk about getting raises that they richly deserves. The tyrannical mayor genocide stand yelled, "Cease and desist! Cease and desist!"
Yeah.
Very unprofessional to our first responders that put their lives on the line for us.
Yeah, I understand it. I understand it. Now, what would do you know any of the details of that situation? I seen that clip when you was talking about it. So, and do you know any of the details of why they decided they didn't want to give them the raises or whatnot?
I can tell you why they didn't want to give the raise, because they're too busy fucking off money off stupid unnecessary shit, like photo shoots opportunities at the park, park it self it a whole bunch of unnecessary mess that our tax dollars really don't need to be going towards.
What's the worst thing you think they're spending money on right now?
West Wind.
I give you that. I give you that. Yeah, now I guess that would be right. So, what do you think West Wind is actually doing to benefit benefit the crooked side of the government? If they're not benefiting Lawton in any way, what is it they're getting out of helping West Wind?
Basically, the corrupt Lawton government is basically trying to push our tax dollars into a failed investment, because West Wind Elements doesn't even have all the proper, credentials to be doing what they're doing to begin with. And from what I heard from the reliable source, they have all types of hazardous tanks and materials that's not even stored properly, and they have and West Wind Resistance exposed a bunch of lies West Wind was caught up in when West Wind initially had in their website that they had proper certification and stuff like that, and when it was exposed that they didn't, then they took it off their website. So you might want to go to Facebook, Instagram, and especially YouTube. West Wind Resistance channels got all the scoops of what all they uncovered personally about West Wind Elements, which got me educated on West Wind Elements and got me involved to make it a platform of my own and joining the fight.
Okay. And you said this is called West Wind Resistance?
Yes.
Okay.
And the coalition coordinator that does the talking for this organization is indigenous lady named Kesa Whitley.
Okay. So they started so pretty much they started it, and you just kind of you got educated watching them, and then from there you picked it up. Because see, I didn't even know about this whole situation either until I came across your content, and then that's when I started actually looking into it and finding out all the things that were going on that end. So that's actually kind of good to know. So I guess a lot of folks, believe it or not, people. One thing I learned in my life is don't assume that everybody knows what you know. Okay, so that's actually good information for everybody. So I looked at some of your shirts too, though, and I seen some of your shirts. Like, I seen you had the "fuck ICE" shirts on there. So, are you against or for the immigration?
What I am against is weaponizing immigration policies to snatch people up off the streets without due process, without proper identification, without proper uniform, especially for the purpose of snatching off U.S. citizens to some foreign prison simply because you don't agree with them. Like that happened to the pro-Palestinian student demonstrator, and then it happened to that
Now, okay,
other guy.
So we talk about those situations, right? So are you talking about the young the Venezuelan that went back to Venezuela? What's his name? Arceo Arguello. I forget this young man's name now that I'm thinking about it. But the one that was on TV that they said that he was part of MS-13 or whatnot and all that. Is that one of the ones you're speaking about?
Yeah, that's one of the ones. Yeah, and he was a
So,
legalized and he was a legalized citizen
but it
here.
wasn't
And
legalized. See, so this is okay. This is one of the things about the argument that kind of gets to me when I hear people go back and forth with this argument, because he had actually had 2 orders of deportation. Now, the only thing that they did that was wrong inside the order of deportation was that I guess they wasn't supposed to send them back over to El Salvador is what it was. So they wasn't supposed to send them back to El Salvador, but so that was the one thing that was messed up in the deportation. Other than that, though, he was supposed to be deported. So how can you? I don't understand the arguments, and I need explain this if you can to me. I don't understand the arguments of no due process when you got 2 orders of deportation. That means that you then went through due process twice. You see what I'm saying?
yep,
So so he had his due process. So the argument of he got deported without due process, that's actually a lie, because he had two orders of deportation. And then it was supposed to be one of them that was, in one of them they stated don't go back to El Salvador. And then the student that got his visa taken for they say for just speaking his mind, free speech, but at the same time too, though, I don't really agree with that, because they supposedly have more evidence if you look into it, man, that he was doing more than just being at a rally. It was more like he was supporting Hamas, and I mean. Do you agree? Do you think that is okay for somebody to support a terrorist group that is against America on American soil?
it's freedom of speech here in America. Pretty much anybody has the right to support what they want to support. And really, how can you call Hamas a terrorist organization when they're actually a resistance group that's been fighting against their oppressor for the last 77 plus years? And a lot of what they say Hamas did actually has been debunked.
Well, I ain't gonna disagree or agree with all that. I mean, I understand the arguments on both them sides. I look at a bunch of this stuff, man, and some of it looks like it's true, some of it doesn't look like it's true from both sides of that right there. But nonetheless, though, if you're inside of America, now let me ask you this: do you believe that there's a difference between an actual American citizen and somebody who's just here?
Only difference is the actual American citizen would have to be the one that was actually born here versus
Well,
somebody
not
being here
necessarily,
that
because you
more than
can come
likely
here legally.
came from somewhere else.
No, because you can come here legally, and if you come here legally as an immigrant, I got many guys that I work with now that are immigrants, right? And they wasn't born here. They was born in other countries, lived there 20, 30 years, whatnot, whatever, came over here when they were in their mid-20s or whatnot. They came legally. They went through the process, 7, 8 years, whatever it took, and now they're actual American citizens. So it's not just about whether or not you're born here. So my question is there a difference between American citizen? Because see, an immigrant that's here legally is an American citizen. You know what I'm saying? And then
If
somebody
you
who's
want to,
not here.
if you want to be technical, nobody is illegal on stolen land because America is stolen land to begin with. Like the European descendant settlers, came. It was welcomed by the native
But I mean,
native indigenous.
if we're gonna go by those type of, so I've heard this argument too, and this is kind of where I like to talk to people also, because with that argument, technically they didn't own the land either. Then because if we can't own the land now, you know what I'm saying? Because they say we came here and stole it, then technically the ones that was here before didn't own it either. You know what I mean? We're going to get technical about it. So the Indians that was here, they didn't own the land. the Aztecs that got, colonized by the Spaniards, they didn't own that land. You know what I mean? So if you're going to sit there and say that they came here and they stole land because the people who were here before owned the land, but we can't own the land now, then technically nobody owns the land.
How's that possible? How's that possible when the natives was the one that was indigenous to the land and was here first?
Yeah, but you had tribes killing tribes left and right back then. So I mean, so which tribe, if you let go back through the history, which tribe originally was here first, and then which tribe went and killed that tribe to take over their land and kill their people? You know what I mean? See, this is the thing with that kills me is if you look at any dynasty, any country, any power in the world, not one of them was created without blood. Not one. There's not one that you can mention that there was not some type of bloodshed that was shed in order to create that. That China, the Congo, any of these places that you like, somebody died so somebody can rule it. You know what I mean? And somebody pushed somebody out the way, one way or the other, in order for somebody to be the leader. So my thing is who if we're going to use those arguments, right? And we want to go back to, okay, well, the Indians was here first. Well, all the Comanches were fighting Kiowas, and Kiowas against Apaches, and such and such and such and such and such and such. So which tribe actually is the original one then? You know what I mean? Can we go back far enough and find out which one is actually the original one here, and then say, hey, the Comanches was wrong because they attacked them. The Apaches was wrong because they attacked them. And, we can. That's what I'm not understanding about these arguments, because the argument is, right now we're in America. This is established over 200 some years. It's established country, America. I'm an American. I would assume you're American. I don't know. Are you American?
Yes. I'm a born and raised American citizen.
Okay, so then we're Americans. So honestly, me, I don't care what tribe was here first. Do I say hate people? No, I don't want to hate nobody. You know what I mean? I think everybody should have, free speech. Like you said, I do agree with that. You're free to say what you want. Don't put your hands on me, but you're free to say what you want. You know what I mean? But at the same time, too, though, we can't use the constantly use the battle of who was here first, because we can take that all the way back. I'm half Mexican. Okay. So when I was raised up, I heard about the Aztecs and, Aztec warriors and all that, and people say, well, you are part Indian because you're Aztec. Yeah. And all that. But then if you study it, they were colonized. So who actually is the original one, if we're going to use those arguments? I mean, do you have any insight on that?
Since you're dividing it up into, the tribes, and they was known for, killing each other. That is a good question. Which original tribe was the one that's here first? That's a very good question.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? And that's why I don't really think I think the people who like to look, this is something me personally. I feel like a lot of people who are fighting for the rights of these people, I get it, and they use these terms like, you can't it's stolen land already. So you can't own stolen land or whatever. I believe there's groups out there that want us all divided. I really do. I believe that they want us divided. They use these type of arguments in order to make us divided because they don't want us to have an American identity. They don't want us to be an Americans. They don't. They want us to be on the outside of looking like, everybody's the good guy. Other than look, nobody's a good guy. Okay, America's not a good guy. Iran's not a good guy. Israel's not a good guy. Russia's not a good guy. Ukraine's not a good guy. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to talk about the good guys, but the reality of it is it don't come down to good guys. It comes down to whose side are you on? And I'm an American. So that's my question to the Americans is, whose side are you on? Are we Americans, or are we going to let the rest of the world come in and separate us? Because see, look, Asian, Black, Mexican, brown, Indian, whatever, all that makes America. You know what I'm saying? All that makes America. Once you're here and you're an American citizen, you're an American. I mean, do you agree or disagree with that?
I can't dispute that.
Okay, so I mean, why would we? Do you agree with the protests they've been doing lately, where they're waving Mexican flags and Palestinian flags? And do you agree with that?
Man, it's first amendment, and with the protest with the Palestinian flags, it's a protest to stop the innocent slaughters and killings of the people of the Palestinian people that's backed by our tax dollars to
Okay, but if we go back and look at that, and they go back and look at Biden's term, Biden was actually giving both sides money. So what do you say about that then? Because
playing both sides of the fence, which doesn't make no sense. The Biden administration, they funded Israel to weapons to commit this whole cost and turn around and fund Gaza aid that either comes up destroyed or stolen by Israel.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, but that's my point though. So my point is just that is, if that's the case, then why are we tripping on one side when we're funding both sides? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the reason we're tripping out that one particular side or whatever is because that one particular side is the oppressed party, which is the people of the Palestinians that ain't got no legitimate government, no money to back them, and really no military. Like this whole thing with between Israel and Palestine. Israel is pretty much the big bully picking on the little guy. And Big Brother America is behind Israel, backing them up with our military and our tax dollars.
I can understand it. And trust me, like I said, I got my things against Israel too. There's certain things that I be looking at and I'm like, yeah, I don't see why we're even twisted in that. But at the same time, what would you say to those people that are out there speaking? You got Palestinians, okay? Palestinian people that are actually speaking out. And they're not speaking out against just like Israel and the war and all that. They're speaking out against their own people who are being held captive by their own regime within Palestine. So, like when I hear some of these people speak, it's almost like there's a difference between the actual Palestinian people and then those that are actually going to war on behalf of Palestine and using their name, but in reality, they got their own agenda. And these are Palestinian people that be saying these type of things, So how would you respond to them?
Yeah, unfortunately, you do have quite a majority of people within this liberation movement that uses the Palestinian the name, and unfortunately does have their own agenda, and pretty much in this liberation movement, pretty much for the wrong reason, mainly for whatever self-establishment gain, etc.
That's real. So, are you pro-America?
I'm typically America first, which is why I'm against my American tax dollars, funding this Holocaust that's going on in Gaza.
Okay. Now, besides the whole Holocaust, are you against them using our tax dollars for all the other things like they found out with the USAID and all that and everything? Are you against that as well?
What do you mean with the USAID?
Yeah, they had many different things that came out during those so-called investigations where, they were doing transgender things on mice, and then they were sending money overseas for like cartoons and crap. And, the whole stories that they've been speaking about. Do you agree with with our tax dollars going to those?
Oh, I'm against our taxes of the dollars going to unnecessary, wasteful, things like what you just mentioned.
Okay, I dig that. See, at least that's fair. At least you keep it constant. I can ride with that. See, that's why I wanted to have a conversation with you, because I watched some of your stuff, and I really was wondering, like, where does he stand on the line, So, which is your business? And so you said your main business is
These custom tees.
these custom tees, right? So is it just t-shirts, or are we doing everything?
Shirts, hats, decals, cups, water bottles, chairs, things like that.
Oh, so you hit everything you can hit. I ain't mad at you. You know what I mean? And what is what's the website? You have gave me a link. We're gonna throw that up there right now. This improvised train Etsy. What is this website to right here?
One of my Etsy shops.
Okay. And what do you get on this one here?
On that one, like you mentioned earlier, things against ICE, things against Trump, and other things geared towards liberation.
Okay. Now, did you vote for Kamala?
I'm a felon, so I couldn't vote. And even if I did vote, I wouldn't vote for her for my own personal reasons, because of her history of her being tied up as a corrupted cuter that sent innocent men, especially innocent black men, to prison for her own self gain.
Yep. You know what, Miss D, I do like you, and I appreciate you joining me today, sir. You did clarify some things for me, see, because I wanted, and I really just wanted to have the conversation. And you know what, I like the way you stand, brother, because you know what, like I said, I voted Republican this year, but I ain't a Republican nor a Democrat. You know what I mean? But I voted for him because of the way my beliefs in life lean a little bit more that way, because I feel like Democrats lost their mind this year. But
I can agree with that.
Yeah, and that's why I like to have this conversation with you, because at least you showed me that you keep it consistent. If one side is going to show some little ass, we're going to show both sides. You know what I mean? I had somebody ask me once, they was like, why do I just critique the Democrats so much? And I thought about it, and my answer truly is because, you know what, I voted Democrat for so long that I felt like they lied to me. You know what I mean? So I feel like they got a lot of answering to do, So at the same time, too, though, I do appreciate you coming today, sir. Is there anything else you would like to tell the audience before we go ahead and leave today?
I was going to say this. The Democratic Party's been lying to and exploiting us people of color since the beginning of time, to be honest.
Yeah, you sure right. You know what? A lot of folks don't actually do their history. They don't like to study their history. And I'm not going to say that Republicans got it all together and they're all 100% perfect or nothing like that. But at the same time, too, though, some of their beliefs, they lean more on how I believe, and then, but the Democrats, I think they did that. I think they went off the rails and they really just can't bring it back. But I do appreciate you. And, Mr. Dark Independent, do you have any place where we can find your content, your information?
Well, obviously my D Customs page for my merch, and the dice, and my Dark Independent YouTube channel, my Dark Independent Red Note, and my Dark Independent Instagram, and my Dark Independent Clapper, and my Dark Independent TikToks as well.
Okay, you got it all, don't you? You got it all, man. I mean, I need to hire you to help me do my stuff, man. I do appreciate you, sir. More than you know.
Appreciate you having me.
No problem. We do appreciate y'all watching, and thank you for joining once again. This is Humble Not Timid. Another voice, another choice.
Getting mad at me, player, but they ain't taking my place. And I'm a misbreed, homie, so they hate my race. Or maybe I'm just ugly, so they hate my face. Either way it go, homie, take the hating away. Now I'm suited in my armor and I'm just ready to play. So now put me in coach, cause I'm just ready to play. See,